So here are the responses that I got from a focus group that I put together to show you the responses that I got from my audience about my horror trailer. Hello? Right, if I can ask you a few questions. Okay. So, how well do you think that I used mise-en-scène, camera location, camera angles, anything else to do with the construction of a film, to example the genre of horror?
I think you used them very well. I especially liked your effects and editing on the bit. Is that what you said? Yeah. On the bit where it's knocking, I thought that really portrayed the horror element because it makes it seem like he's on his own. And when he was stood by the tree and you pan the camera around,
Yeah.
that was really good. I thought that added to the genre. Yeah.
Cool. And how do you kind of represent Josh? Like, what was your representation of him after watching that?
I see him as like the vulnerable, as the victim of the psychotic. What is it?
The psychosis, yeah.
Because you see him, there's like no other characters like interacting with him, which shows he's maybe outcasted because of it.
Yeah, like on his own.
Yeah.
Okay, so and how do you think that kind of streamed into my the subgenre, as it were, as my overall trailer?
Psychological horror. I think it worked because you still were able to create suspense and tension and stuff without using blood and gore like you think of like traditional horror films. You were able to create the horror through just their mind.
Yeah, okay. Was it scary?
Yeah, I definitely jumped a little bit there.
And why? Like, why do you think it was scary?
Because you're like waiting for something to happen. You know that something's going to happen when he's doing all the day-to-day things, and then when I like the bit where it's reversed, and then you see all the. Yeah, I think that was scary.
Okay. And how do you think like my other products kind of fit well with the trailer, and like what kind of sticks out most for you as my overall product?
I definitely think your eyes is a big thing throughout all three of your things. Like the eyes are the main focus. You've got the effect when it goes over on the trailer and then in your magazine and the poster.
And what kind of things do you think that it portrays alternative aspect of the film? Because I'm kind of going for a low budget alternative horror film. What kind of things have I done to make it?
You haven't used like the stereotypical traditional like horror storyline. Like normally you'd have like girls in a house or like people running around. It's taken more from the view of the main character.
Yeah.
So you feel at one with the character. It's not like we're not looking on feeling scared for him. We're feeling scared with him.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So after watching that, can I ask you a few questions, Kate? How well do you think that I used kind of mise-en-scène, camera location, kind of all the conventions that you find in a horror genre to portray the genre of horror?
I think you did it very well. You could definitely tell it was a horror because of the violence and the blood, and also the sound was quite sort of what I'd associate with horror, the background kind of like sound effects, and the lighting at the start, like it was dark, and then obviously in the more sort of horror parts it was darker.
Okay. And how did you from your point of view? How do you think you saw Josh? Like, how did you see Josh? Like, what was his representation for you in my?
Like how he was portrayed.
Yeah, how was he portrayed for you?
Sort of a bit like he was kind of like a killer, but he wasn't sort of felt kind of a little bit of sympathy for him because it was obvious that he had something wrong with him.
Yeah.
And that was why he was killing. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, and obviously because it was horror, my aim was to scare you. Did I scare you?
Yeah.
Cool. And why?
Like it was quite sort of, what's the word? Like I didn't really know what was going on, but that was sort of what made it like
Disorientated
scary. Yeah,
you,
I
kind
felt
of.
disorientated,
Okay.
and like the hand at the end was like really good, and when like the sort of this like the screens were multiplying, it was kind of like it was building up to something, and you didn't know what was going to happen.
Okay, cool. And obviously you've seen my other products along with my trailer. How do you think they've all kind of merged in together and fitted well together along with my movie trailer to kind of...
You sort of followed like a colour scheme, like there was red in like both the magazine and what was the other one? Magazine,
The poster.
the poster and
Yeah.
the video, and also you had the same character as well in all of them, so
Yeah.
like you could see that he was related to all of the products.
Okay, and how do you think all of them kind of... Because obviously, well, what genre did you think it was? The
Horror.
horror, but like the subgenre.
Subgenre, like what? Psychological, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So how do you think as well? Because my trailer is kind of alternative, and I've kind of gone for an alternative, low budget film. How do you think I've used the psychological aspect well, along with it being an alternative film? How do you think I've used that to portray the message? Like,
It wasn't like a horror like trailer I've seen before. Normally they just sort of follow the same kind of key things, which is like they'll just like have like loads of jump scares in them, and like this was kind of left me like thinking like what was happening, and like it seemed to have like a deeper meaning than just sort of like these horror trailers that you see and it's just put there to scare you. Like this one made me kind of think.
what other genres do you think of when you watched my trailer?
Like genre of horror.
Yeah, like just any. What other kind of
Um,
themes kind of moved in?
Themes like thriller.
Yeah,
horror.
thriller. Okay. And finally, how do you think I could have improved any of the products that I've made?
I think like the part where he was kind of in the darkness, like there could have like the lighting there could have been better because it was like a bit like pixelated, and like I think there could have been like a more clearer narrative.
Okay.
Like it's still like there was still a story going on, but at some points you like don't know like if it fits into the narrative or not.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, can I ask you a few questions? Cool. Right, so how well do you think I used mise-en-scène, camera location, camera angles to example the horror aspect of my trailer?
I think it was really well, especially the way that the camera angles are used in different ways. So you've got the side shot of him riding the bike, and then you've got like face on as well, where the camera's lying down when you fall down to the camera as opposed to following you. I think it was used really well to kind of give you that sense of you're there with them and kind of induce a bit of fear in the trailer.
Cool. And how, so like when you, as you watch my trailer, like what did you kind of think of Josh? How was he portrayed in your view?
So kind of first when you see him as a bit of a villain, as well as kind of a normal person, so you kind of get the idea that he's got a split personality, and I think it kind of, the scariest kind of villain is both human and a monster,
Yeah.
and it kind of gives you that idea that he's a normal person, but also has that kind of side of him, which kind of induces a lot more fear as well.
Cool. And was it scary?
Yes, it was scary. I didn't like the hung up Donald Duck, didn't like that.
Okay,
That was
good.
terrifying.
Cool. And so how do you think, like, after looking at my other products, how do you think that kind of helped or fitted well with my horror trailer?
So, I think in the poster and the magazine picture, well, it's just the idea that it's a normal person, but it's kind of distorted as well, so it shows that there's more than one side to him, and it kind of fits in really well with the the video trailer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuck out most for you in anything, any of my products?
Well, you got the hung up toy, which I
Yeah.
said terrified me. And then I think just generally him going backwards as well on the bicycle is really, really cool. And I think just kind of his face and the way he's just split personality is one side of him.
So can you see that it's like a psychological
Yeah.
horror? And what kind of other horror, like what kind of other subgenres do you think along with horror kind of came into my trailer, as well as horror?
I don't think it's too gory. It's just kind of like a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Okay. And I've kind of gone for an alternative movie because my film was low budget. So how do you think that I used, or how do you think I portrayed it as an alternative horror rather than it being a normal conventional horror?
You can kind of see with there's not too many characters like introduced in the trailer, so it kind of shows it. It's a little bit of kind of like a one-person story, which shows it's a little bit low budget, but also means that you've got a lot of quality footage in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows that it's a little bit low budget, a more alternative.
Okay, cool. And finally, how do you think I've improved my?
I think you could add a couple more of those like flashes of like the toys being hung
Yeah.
up and kind of little scary things, give you little jumps in
Okay.
the trailer to kind of show that it's going to be a pretty like thrilling film to watch.
Cool. Thank you. All right.